From pizza parlors to express trains to the foot of the Great Pyramid, a look back at the famous, the obscure, and the awe-inspiring venues where Jerry Garcia and the Grateful Dead performed. Next on Booked on Rock. Welcome back to Booked on Rock, the podcast for those about to read and rock. We have a first-time guest on the podcast, Harry Angus. He is the author of the Encyclopedia of Jerry Garcia Music Venues. Harry, welcome to the podcast. Nice to meet you.
Thanks for having me, Eric.
This is, you got them right there. Seeing, are those both volumes there? Right by
I have them. Yeah. I thought I'd let people see what they look like.
Wow. Beautiful. 9 by 12, right?
9 by 12, 3 inches each. Together, they weigh about 22 pounds.
Unreal. 9 by 12, gold embossed hardcover, gold gilded pages, and inside is the complete musical legacy of Jerry Garcia and the history of each venue where he performed, and not just with the Grateful Dead. Tell us how long it took to put this book together and then the efforts that you went to in compiling all of this information.
Oh, man. It's just been a real trip because I'm a self-publisher. I don't have anybody financing what I've done. But over 16 years, let's see, I started with a blog. It was called Jerry's Broken Down Palaces, which is still active. And that grew to about 400 venues. It was kind of loosely thrown together. And I was just having a lot of fun with it. And then the next thing I knew, it had over 2 million hits. So I thought maybe I'd create a book, an encyclopedia, with all the venues that Jerry performed in, recorded in, rehearsed, all the rehearsal halls, and all the dates that are not readily available, but they are. As I did, I dug pretty deep to find it all. All kinds of, all his living spaces. I think they total somewhere around 35 different living spaces. Some scuba excursions are in here.
He loved to go scuba diving. That was his thing.
Other than just of course, all the music and a lot that hasn't been seen in print that I know of. And I've been digging in Dead-related books for the whole time I've been doing this, and I've never seen some of the things I've discovered.
Did you go to a lot of the locations? Did you travel around? Because some of the photos in there have your photo credit.
Yeah, I think the greatest adventure in that respect was we took a red eye. I lived in California at the time. We took a red eye and we went to the New York State Hall of Records, which was in downtown Manhattan. And we got there real early in the morning so we could get first in line. And that was a really old building with all these records and photographs, and everything's all dusty and the floor's not shiny, really ancient place. So we got in there and we ended up getting about 18 photos of venues where Jerry performed in New York, or
Wow.
places where he frequented. One of those would be the Blues Brothers Bar, which was actually called the Holland Tunnel Bar. And that was like an after-hours bar that the Blues Brothers owned. And they'd go there after Saturday Night Live or after Dead shows at the Garden.
Oh, that was the famous place. Yeah, where all the cast would go.
Yeah.
With some of the famous people, famous friends.
Jerry jammed there a couple of times. I found a couple of musicians. I'm not looking at that right now, but yeah, one was I believe a trumpet player. I can't recall at the moment, but.
How far back do you go as a fan of the Dead and Jerry? What was your first show? How many shows have you gone to?
My first Dead show was Roosevelt Stadium, 7/18/72. And Pigpen was already too sick to be there. And then let's see, for Jerry, that was a Merle Saunders and Friends at the Bottom Line, July 2nd, 72.
How many shows total do you think you've gone to?
I never really counted them up, to be honest with you, but I've moved around a lot. I grew up in Ocean County, New Jersey. And then I moved to California in the Bay Area, and I saw a lot of shows at Winterland and the Keystones and the Stone in San Francisco. We traveled to Red Rocks, San Diego, LA.
There are spots here, like you say, places where Jerry lived. Also, locations like the junior high that Jerry went to. There's an entry on the James Denman Junior High School in San Francisco. Jerry attended school there from September 1958 to February 1959. Can you share with us what Jerry had to say about those days?
Yeah, and I actually quoted him in the book, and I where I got the quote, there's an end note attached to that, which means it's the same as a footnote, but in a book this size, rather than having somebody flip to the end of the book to find out who's number one footnote, you put it at the end of the venue. So each venue has its own set of footnotes, so to speak, but they're called endnotes in this respect. Anyway, Jerry, we moved back to the city when I was about 13 or so, and I started going to Denham, a good old San Francisco rowdy roughneck school. I became a hoodlum, survival thing. You had to be a hoodlum. Otherwise, you'd walk down the street and somebody beat you up. I had my friends, and we were hoodlums, and we went out on the weekends and we did a lot of drinking and all that. And meanwhile, I was still reading and buying books and going to San Francisco Art Institute on the weekends, just short of leading this whole secret life, Jerry said.
That's awesome.
And he was inducted into the school's Denham School's Hall of Fame in 1990. And since 2005, there's a Jerry Garcia guitar club at the school.
That's cool. Hoodlum by day, by night, gearing up for his future life.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a location in Menlo Park, California called Magoo's Pizza Parlor. Tell us about this and its place in Jerry history. The Warlocks played their very first gig there.
Well, not quite, but the history, that's what the history books would say, but not quite because this is the new history book. So to describe the atmosphere inside Magoo's, it was a pizza parlor, strictly pizza parlor, bright overhead lights with long tables with ovens in the back, just like most pizza places. And they had a fantastic jukebox. And I'm quoting someone. I remember hearing Hendrix and the Rolling Stones for the first time. We're at a very young age there. There was also an upstairs area with pool tables and quite often Hell's Angels, which I didn't realize that they were in the picture in 65, you know.
Right.
But that came a little bit later, but I guess not. And then the band was set up by the front plate glass window confined to a rather narrow area without a stage. Jerry Garcia was on the audience's left, Pigpen on the far right. Those two especially looked somewhat menacing, at least to a suburban 15-year-old. They reminded me of outlaw bikers. Bob Weir, Dana Morgan, and Bill Kreutzmann were clean-shaven and looked more like guys you might see in a high school band. The music was stunning. I have never forgotten it, although I cannot recall the specific set list. I think they did some Stones covers, and I know that Pigpen sang Little Red Rooster. And few people know, but this was not the first Warlocks gig. That was on April Fool's Day of all days, 1965, in the student dining commons at Menlo College. I'm sure Jim Newton won't mind, but I quoted some of that out of the thing about the April Fool's Day 65. That comes out of this book right here. A partner located this at the local library, and I've been going through it.
That's a great book, right? I loved reading
Pretty
that book.
interesting with the whole political scene wrapped up in it.
Yes. Yeah. Jim was on the show to talk about the book.
Yeah.
What are some of the favorite spots in the book for you? Like ones that few, if any, fans know about, maybe the most obscure gig or one you didn't realize yourself existed?
Oh, there's a few Warlock dates I discovered in old newspapers. Here's an oddity, and I have yet to have anyone disagree with me on it. On January 8th of 66, the Dead played the Fillmore as the Grateful Dead. Okay, but on January 7th, the night before, and on April 16th of 66, they played as the Warlocks at the What's It Club in Santa Clara.
Wow.
They were like kind of moonlighting as the Warlocks, I guess probably for financial reasons after they had already become the Grateful Dead.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. And then their next gig after the What's It Club on 4/16 in 66 was Longshoremen's Hall, the Trips Festival on January 21st as the Grateful Dead.
Hmm.
So I kind of discovered a couple of things like that.
So you learned just yourself, you learned some new stuff
I
throughout the
did.
process.
Never heard of anyone ever came up with the What's It Club before.
Right. There's a beautiful photo of the Orpheum Theater in San Francisco. Beautiful architecture. It seats just over 2,000. Jerry played some shows there in 1989, and quotes in the book from those who were there, they talk about how great those shows were. And I always thought Jerry must have loved those gigs, especially at that point. It's a nice getaway for him, low key, intimate.
Yeah.
Can you share some of the comments from those who were at those shows?
I've got one, and I have the end note numbers, but I don't want to give people's names out,
Yeah.
or whoever I'm quoting here. But at any rate, in the book, it's all in there. I'm truly impressed. On this particular night, Jerry's jamming was profound. Each song from the second set is exceptional and shows that Jerry's abilities were not in question. For many years, I was of the opinion that Jerry just couldn't cook in the late 80s through the 90s. On this particular night, January 28th, 1989, Jerry provided all the evidence I need to throw that opinion straight out the window. On 1/28/89, Jerry delivered one of his finest performances ever. I can't wait to hear the first set whenever it is released. Bravo to Jerry for this truly special performance. The March 3rd, '89 show was the one with Clarence Clemens for the entire show.
That's cool. As a big Twilight Zone fan, there's an entry that stood out regarding a Twilight Zone session on February 15th of 1985. Tell us about this. This is at the Skywalker Ranch.
Yeah, the Skywalker Ranch, George Lucas's, where he did a lot of filming, and he had a technical building at that point. That's what it was called. And I've got a couple of quotes from that. And this one says, "Yes, this place is amazing. In 1985, crews began pouring concrete for the 155,000 square foot technical building at George Lucas's Skywalker Ranch. The sprawling 25-acre working ranch was located far up a winding road deep in the hills of Marin County. It contains everything from guest houses and an overnight inn to an organic garden, a vineyard, a baseball diamond, a fitness center, a firehouse, and its own general store. Over 360,000 used bricks, sandblasted to look old, were used on the exterior, plus 1,500 tons of stone." When I worked for I'm talking about me now,
Yep.
worked for a large hotel company in San Francisco. I worked in food and beverage in a banquet department, and we had a George Lucas Christmas Skywalker Ranch party at the hotel. He brought all the employees to the hotel, and we had to go out to the ranch to pre-plan this. And he had a lunch set up for us, and no expense spared. We felt like movie stars. They came and picked us up in a limo and drove us up there with champagne in the limo. So we were loose by the time we got up there.
Yeah.
But Garcia and the other band members, they recorded music and sound effects for a new version. So it must have been the 80s,
Right.
the late 50s, early 60s television series, The Twilight Zone. The new series producer, Phil DeGeer, was instrumental in making of the '72 Grateful Dead concert film, Sunshine Daydream. DeGeer hired Merle Saunders, and with DeGeer's approval, Merle brought in the Dead. Mickey Hart was hired as a primary sound designer on the series, and he noted at the time, "We're using anything that fits. The sound of rain, light bulbs breaking backwards at half speed, branches falling, car crashes, wood breaking. It's kind of a 21st century orchestra." Hart worked on the series for most of the year, whereas Garcia and the other band members' involvement was much more limited. Garcia also helped work up a collection of little music inserts called stings and bumpers, little hunks of non-specific music of various lengths that have different moods, he explains. One might be a mood. Don't open that door, or don't go in the attic. Or I'm going to work, honey. Are you sure you'll be okay at home alone? They go all the way from a sort of non-committal, he makes a light, playful guitar noise to a real ominous rah. They gave us a huge menu of those. And then it's the music editor who actually fits them into the show.
Wow, that's cool. Now, these entries, by the way, if people want to preview it, they are in
They're
on your
bits and
website,
pieces,
bits
to
and
be
pieces on
honest.
your website. Yeah, which we can let people know about a little bit more about where people can go for that. Harry Angus, the author of the Encyclopedia of Jerry Garcia Music Venues. There's one photo in the book of the Red Rocks Amphitheater in Colorado, taken by somebody in attendance. And in the caption, you write, "Note the guy on the rocks." Where did you find this photo?
I actually came up with it from a guy named, his name's Michael Young. And the photo is actually from August 12th of 79. I was actually at that show. I don't remember that guy. I don't remember that guy up there. And when I originally found this photo, I thought it was from June 13th, 84, when someone fell off the rocks and died.
Oh,
But
man.
no, because the Dead didn't play there in 84. I don't think. Or maybe they did. I'm sorry. I'm a little mixed up on that. Anyway, I've included it as a memorial as many people as I could who had like a mishap or a fall, or they jumped off a balcony and it made the news, or any kind of weird mishap like that before, during, and after a show. Adam Katz, I have him in detail of his whole story. I'm sure you've heard of him.
Yep.
So yeah, there's a bunch of those kinds of stories.
Now, this guy is way, way, way up. I mean, he is. If you were at that show, I guess it's not surprising you didn't see him because he's so far out of sight. You have to be way far back, I guess, to even see the guy.
Somebody did fall. Somebody did fall, but I don't think it was from where the stage side is. I think it was up on the wall.
He is way up there, and somebody manages to get a shot. And you can see the shot in the book. Being from Connecticut, in Connecticut as well, I want to ask about the entry on the Bushnell Auditorium in Hartford. It's still there. I used to work right down the street from it.
I
Jerry,
mentioned,
yeah. Jerry Garcia band played there. How many gigs did he play there? And comments, I guess, on those shows that are in the book.
I'm not looking right at that, but that's one of those historic venues that's like attracted my attention. It's got a rich Art Deco interior, beautiful photo of the exterior that I have in the book. And it also has the largest hand-painted ceiling mural of its type in the U.S. It's painted by Barry Faulkner. It cost in 1929 they spent 50 grand for that painting. So here it is. I'm sorry, I have it right in front of me. Jerry performed there 7 times.
7 times. Yeah. By the way, that's part of the book is the details that you offer on the construction and the design and the art and all that stuff, which is really cool. So again, a lot of research went into these as far as the origins of the building and when it went up. But yeah, Jerry played 7 shows there. Again, I'm sure a gig like that he must have loved because especially as the Dead got bigger and bigger, they're playing huge venues. Not that he didn't enjoy those, but I think he must have just liked having those shows, just having some fun with it. Spring of 77, a legendary period in Dead history, as we know. What are some of the standout shows for you? And talk about the venues they played, including Cornell, which is a legendary show. How many shows did you go in May of 77 yourself?
If no, I don't think I went to any in May unless they were at Winterland, or in 77, that's where they were playing. So for the most part in 77, that's where I saw them in Winterland.
And I think they played New Haven, Connecticut in May of 77.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's the bootleg that I got. My older brother gave me that bootleg. That's really when I became a huge fan.
I remember it. Well, I wasn't there, but I remember listening to the sound is just incredible.
Incredible.
May.
Really warm sound to it. Yeah, the bass, everything is crystal clear on that show. And this book gives you an idea of how massive the Dead audiences became A photo from 1993 at the Sam Boyd Silver Bowl, aka Sam Boyd Stadium. Capacity 40,000, a massive stage. And there's another gig in Vermont at Franklin County Airport that had 60,000. What was the biggest audience the band played to? Do you know?
I think it would be the one that I went to. That would be Watkins Glen for sure. That was 600,000 people there. Unforgettable. Although I don't remember anything, but it was unforgettable.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure.
Six friends and I rented a U-Haul van. I lived in Bricktown, New Jersey at the time. I was in high school. We rented a U-Haul van with no AC and no windows and drove it from the Jersey Shore. And we abandoned the van and started walking in the dark about 8 miles to the site. And when we got to near the site, you could hear the Dead were on stage doing that now famous sound check that they did in the middle of the night.
That is awesome,
That's
man.
my biggest memory of it, really, because in the daytime it was just mass confusion.
Yeah.
Just so many people, so many people.
WLIR Studios in Long Island, New York makes the book. What's the significance of that location?
Yeah, there's a gentleman. I guess he was probably a DJ, a programmer. Ray White. I'm not familiar with his name, but he interviewed Jerry on. I think it was probably the same night that Dead performed at Nassau Coliseum.
A photo included for the entry on the Woodstock Free Stage, aka Hog Farm Camp.
Yeah, that was known as the Free Stage area. It was originally envisioned as a place for those who came without tickets, who could still enjoy a show. When it became a free festival, the Free Stage became a rallying point for local bands and a forum for those who felt the need to express political views. The Free Stage across the forest and down the Hog Farm Camp had its own music and audience. Some of these groups and some of the crew never even saw the main stage. The trail through the woods was called Groovy Way, a quarter-mile path hung with Christmas lights. Hog Farm Camp had 9 days to set up the free stage. They also ran the lighting for the stage. Medical tents, free food kitchens, serving booths, and information centers. And to set up the trip tents for those who, having partaken of mind-expanding drugs, need to escape the noise, lights, people, and rain. The Dead played next to Further the bus, which is also in the book, and 3 other buses up on the hill near where the hog farm fed huge amounts of warm oatmeal one morning. Near the police station, there was a teepee where people were talked down if over tripping. The Dead set up in a corner of buses with a few dancing all around. There were about 50 people. I think I remember them doing this twice. And those are a couple different people's quotes, like 4 different people.
People who were there. Hey guys, back to the show just a bit, but first I want to tell you about an exclusive deal for Booked on Rock viewers. Get 15% off any purchase at oldglory.com. Over 300,000 officially licensed items covering music, sports, entertainment, and pop culture. Merchandise featuring legendary music artists like Bob Marley, The Beatles, Grateful Dead, Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, and many more. Go to oldglory.com and make sure to use the promo code BookedOnRock. Also find a link in this episode's description, or just go to bookedonrock.com and click on My Deals. Beautiful shot of the Tower Theater in Upper Darby, Pennsylvania. Some really interesting shows took place there. One on April 11th of 75. And the band known as Legion of Mary. For those who may not know, who is Legion of Mary, and can you share the story in the book from the fan who snuck out to see this show and his parents showed up? We'll start with Legion of Mary. That was a side gig. Was that one of Jerry's side?
It was, yeah. It was with Ron Tutt, Elvis's drummer.
Wow.
Yeah, while Elvis was still using him. Now he would bounce back and forth at points of their time together. It was a really short period of time. But as for the name, John Kahn says it was my idea, but it backfired on us. This is him talking to Blair Jackson about it. We played our first gig under that name at the Keystone Berkeley, and these people showed up who were really part of this religious group called the Legion of Mary. I thought I'd made it up. John Kahn came up with that name, the Legion of Mary, and he wanted to start a new entity. And other than the Garcia band, he decided to call it that. We all came down and he talked to everybody who was at the Keystone. And sure, Jerry said, what the fuck? Change the name. Call it that. So the next time, about a month later, we'll be back at the Keystone Berkeley in the back room there, and we're ready to go on. And here comes two really wonderful sisters, these two nuns. And they came to the back, and they're in the midst of this den of inequity. We were smoking pot and doing other stuff, and bikers all over. A wild scene. And they walked in there. Sister Mary Margaret and Sister Rose, and they sat down with me and Jerry, and they said, look, we are the Legion of Mary. You cannot use that name. And it was true. This is the true story of the Legion of Marius, Marius, some Bay Area functional thing related to the church. And so we dropped it after that, but it was the thing where John came up with it. We did a few gigs around. I think we did even a tour on it, so it lasted for a short while. There was a little bit of a reverence to it, but John was like that. He just joke about all that kind of stuff. And so he didn't mean any harm, but I knew it offended them. They wouldn't have come here, and they were so nice about it. You couldn't refuse them anything if you were there. They were sweet, and it wasn't Jerry's way to offend anybody with this stuff. And as I was just reading that, I just realized at the back of the Keystone double album that you open it up, and they're all sitting back there with two nuns on a bench.
Oh, wow. Those are the nuns.
And I just realized that story connects up to that record album.
That's awesome. Now, onto the guy, the fan who snuck out to see the show because he was not allowed out of the house. I think he was in high school.
Yeah, his parents showed up. Yeah. This Garcia show will live in infamy for me, as I was in my last year of high school and my mother was trying to punish me and said I couldn't go. So she sent me out for cigarettes. I met my friends and I basically ran away. My mom was so pissed. She knew where I was and actually came to the Tower Theater to get me. I came out of the first show ready to get in line, and someone I knew in line for the late show said, dude, your mom is here. I grabbed my buddy Fish's car keys and waited in his car until the second show started, like a half hour. And I thought they would have left. I hit the lobby and they were in the lobby.
Yeah, I think the dad showed up too. Both the
They
parents.
took me home, and my dad on the way home said, that was really good jazz.
Ah.
They watched the first show as they explained the situation to the box office guy, and they let him in.
That was really good jazz. But it's funny because I know my dad, he was born in 1939, and we used to, every now and then we would go for rides together, and I'd maybe play, pop in some music that I think, that he would like. And he really liked Pink Floyd and the Dead. I got him into the Dead, and it's actually not all that surprising because the roots of the Dead are really in jazz, and there's some blues and folk and things that, it's like the band for all generations,
Americana.
Yep. The Festival Express train is in the book. Now tell us why this is important to Jerry Garcia and Grateful Dead history.
Oh man, this thing, I wish I was on that train. For 5 glorious days in the summer of 1970, a customized train rocked its way across Canada's heartland, delivering its talented passengers, an all-star lineup of musicians, to day-long mega concerts in Toronto, Winnipeg, and Calgary. As finally captured in the documentary Festival Express, you should check that out if you haven't. The train hauled the Grateful Dead, the band with Janis, and dozens of other musicians as they jammed and partied round the clock, stopping only to perform, occasionally sleep, and make a special layover in Saskatoon to restock the alcohol. The musicians traveled by chartered Canadian National Railways train in a total of 14 cars, 2 engines, 1 diner, 5 sleepers, 2 lounge cars, 2 flat cars, 1 baggage car, and 1 staff car. The event, initially billed as a transcontinental pop festival, was being promoted by Eaton Walker Associates, consisting of Thor Eaton, George Eaton, and Ken Walker, and the Industrial and Trade Shows of Canada division of Maclean Hunter Publishing Company. In 1970, with seemingly every North American city of any size holding a rock festival after the success of Woodstock, Ken Walker and Thor Eaton and a pair of Canadian entrepreneurs and music buffs had an idea. Instead of setting up one massive show with a bunch of top name acts, why not stage a series of them across the country? Grateful Dead lyricist Robert Hunter was on the trip and soon after wrote Might As Well, a song filled with imagery from the legendary trip that was often played live by the Grateful Dead but released as a studio tune on the '76 Garcia solo album Reflections. That is a very extensive entry, the Festival Express train, because Jerry did a lot of jamming on there with a whole bunch of different people, and I dug it all out, let's say.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen the documentary,
Yeah.
but it's definitely a must see. I wanted to finish with some of the shows that the Dead played in Egypt in '78. There's a color photo of the Sound and Light Theater in Giza, Egypt. There are some great stories in there, and one about Jerry climbing to the top of a pyramid. There's another one, if you could share the story that Bob Weir talks about when the Dead played at the foot of the Great Pyramid, and he describes the scene and what he sees.
Yeah, this is the gig where mosquitoes start swarming around
Yes,
the
yes.
band, bats start flying in, the full moon's rising, and the pyramid is lit up with Bedouins on camels with guns. It's a great story. I don't have it in detail, but I'm gonna read what I have in the book of it. I'm sure there's more that I'm not aware of, but the night before the Grateful Dead's first show at Giza Sound and Light Theater at the foot of the Sphinx and the Great Pyramid, singer guitarist Bob Weir took a stroll around the open air venue during sound check. Some of the Egyptian drummers we played with were rehearsing, Weir recalls, and I got to a point where the head of the Sphinx was lined up with the top of the Great Pyramid, all lit up. All of a sudden, I went to this timeless place. The sounds from the stage, they could have been from any time. And it was as if Weir says, I went into eternity. So you got to think back to that tune in under Into Eternity or Under Eternity. And I don't know. To me, that sounds like that's where he started that thought. At any rate, there's a little bit more. One moment stands out from Bob Weir, and I don't know why it's coming to me now, but we were in Egypt. The first night of three, we were playing at an amphitheater at the foot of the Sphinx and the foot of the Great Pyramid. They lit it up really nice. There was a light show and all that kind of stuff. It was pretty spectacular. We were not that far from the Nile River, but anyway, the sun was going down and we started playing. Lights came on, and I hear a mosquito buzz in my ear. One lands on my arm, and as we're playing, I realize it's dusk, and I look around and there's mosquitoes everywhere. I'm figuring, okay, this is going to be a welcome to hell, and I'm not going to be able to play a note. I'm starting to swat at mosquitoes, and I'm like, how the hell am I going to do this? And just as I'm thinking that, a shape goes by my head real fast, and the full moon's starting to rise now. It's going to be an eclipse pretty soon. Backlit, you can see on the bluffs on either side of the theater, there's these sand dunes. And these bluffs are now ringed with Bedouins on their horses and camels, with their rifles over their shoulders, hundreds of them on either side. They had heard that this was going on and came to check it out. Meanwhile, back on the stage, we've got a cloud of mosquitoes, and as it turns out, that shape that flew by my head, another one flies by, and then another. I look around again, and there are these bats, about a foot and a half across, big fellas, lots of them going after the mosquitoes. So, if you back off from this, what you see is the Great Pyramid lit up, golden, magenta, whatever color it was at that moment, and the Sphinx also lit up, and the theater surrounded by these Bedouins. And on the stage is the band all lit up, surrounded by a cloud of bats. It had to be one of the most sublime moments that ever occurred. I left my body, he laughs. If I had to freeze a moment in time, this is it. Take me, Lord. This is how I want to remember it. And then there's a little Jerry one. That was really a mind blower. I can honestly say I was a different person before and after those shows. It was a really profound experience. Wow, playing right in the middle of the pyramids. What a totally beautiful thing, like a psychedelic dream.
Man,
Yeah,
to have been at those shows, what
yeah.
that must have been like. That was in 78. The Dead played in Egypt.
I went to the Red Rock shows right before that, but
Did you?
ran out of finances by the time I heard about it, you know.
Oh, man. So tell the fans where they can get this 2 volume set.
Oh, sure, they can get it. It's a two-volume set. Here it is right here. Here's the front of it. I'm sorry, I can't show you the
Look at
whole
that,
thing.
man. That's beautiful. If you're just listening to the audio version, head to YouTube and you'll see it. It's beautiful.
It's a volume one and a volume two. It is really nicely crafted, is what I would call it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of proud of it because I did it all myself. I am a self-publisher. I had some professional help to put the book on, a book designer to help me. Her name, she's excellent, by the way. That's really part of my story about the book. Is I had a book designer from San Francisco, and he passed away after working on it for 2 years.
Uh,
And he had my files, and I didn't know how to get in touch with him. He'd never answered his emails or anything for a couple months because he died, but I didn't know that at the time.
oh, wow.
So, and then all of a sudden, his brother contacted me from out of nowhere and said, "I found these files of yours in his computer. Do you want them?" And I was like, "Oh my God, are you kidding?"
Do I? Yeah.
So
Wow.
then after that, I got the files back. I started searching for another book designer who was going to complete the job, which took another 2 years. And I found this person, Kelly Badeau. She's in Arizona, and she's a deadhead, so she understands what's going on in here. And she really caught on to what I wanted it to look like inside. I wish the screen was bigger. I could open it up and give people a better idea of
Well,
some
you could see it.
photo.
We could see it. I'm seeing both pages there.
Oh, can you? Okay.
Yep. Yeah. If you want to flip through some of those. 16 years in the making, this book
There's
set,
11
right?
over 1,100 venue photos in here. There's only, I think, maybe just two pictures of Jerry
Yeah.
because it's about Jerry, but it's also more about the venues where my idea came from. So I've always had a thing for historic buildings. The book arrived at the port of Miami on Friday,
Okay.
and I should be receiving it hopefully by this Friday.
All right. So where can people go? There's a website they can go to order this, right?
There is. It's Jerry Garcia Music Venues.com.
Okay.
Real as simple as I could make it.
Now there's a third volume on the way.
There is. I've been working on that for a couple of years also, and it's all on paper other than an update because I haven't worked on it probably in the past year or so because of this.
Yeah. But
So
this is on his instruments.
all of his instruments, about 125 or so. He had a whole banjo collection on top of all his electric stuff and acoustic instruments. And that one's a little bit less ambitious. It's about 300 pages.
Okay. And what can you tell us about a release date? Do you know when that's going to come out?
I do not. Uh,
Okay.
I'm hoping sometime in mid 26. That's my goal.
But people should go to the website.
And that's where the all the information is also about that book. And it kind of like connects up to this volume one and two, and that's going to be volume three with the same kind of artwork and cover work by the same artist.
It's amazing artwork.
Yeah, the globe won't be there. He'll be holding a guitar,
Okay.
and it'll say Jerry's musical instruments up here.
All right.
And I have another guy. He helped me do this. His name is Tom Wright. You can see him down at the bottom. Oh no, he's not on this one. I'm
Oh, I don't
sorry.
see him there. Yeah.
But
See your name.
he's on the instruments book. He was the real
Okay.
expert. I'm the researcher, and he pops things right out of his head. He has the answers to all kinds of musical stuff. Oh, and by the way, the artist for the book cover is Zeb Love, a well-known poster artist. Actually, he did a bunch of Dead and Company posters. So yeah, he did a great job.
Jerry Garcia, musicvenues.com.
I didn't get a chance to tell you before I moved to Florida. I was a radio programmer for KMUD in Garberville, well, Redway, California,
Oh, okay.
community radio station, and I did that for 13 years. Afternoon Dead Show.
A fellow radio guy. Okay. Very cool. You did an afternoon dead show.
Yeah,
Jerry's, he's been gone since 95, but he really hasn't been gone because his music just continues. It's like he's a part of everybody's lives every
really
day,
blossomed even further.
right?
There's so many jam bands that play and know it so well.
Yeah. There's some great Dead tributes out there too.
Yeah,
Yeah. Have you gotten a chance to see Dead and Company?
I have several times. Yeah.
What do you think of it?
I miss Jerry.
Yeah, but still great just that they're keeping that music
It's
alive.
okay, but it's not. It doesn't have anything to do with this.
No,
This is the roots of that.
that's the roots of it. Yeah. All right, Harry. Thanks so much, man. This was great. Pleasure talking to you, and congrats on the book, on the
All right,
books.
thanks very much.